Hey everyone, welcome back to Podcast The Sequel, where we discuss the good, the bad, and the continued. I'm Ryan.
I'm Marissa.
I'm Manira.
I'm Joseph.
And with the 8-year...
Keep it. Keep it.
You want to keep it?
Yeah.
No.
It's going to be like that the entire episode, man. It's going to be in and out.
And with the 8-year anniversary of Split, we thought we would talk about that franchise. But before we can do that, we got to get into the original Unbreakable. Yeah, I got a lot to say about this movie. But before we get into that, let's talk some numbers.
Oh, wait. Can I just point out really quick that, like, I don't know about you two, but I know Ryan has never seen or did not know anything about Unbreakable, Split, Glass, any of them.
So fresh.
Yeah, I was like, so
Nice,
fresh
okay.
point of view. I was going to say, I would just like to point that out because, like, I the whole time just was, like, watching you. Just like, what do you think? Like, what's going on?
I
just wanted to point that out really quick.
watched Split in theaters with Joseph, but I've never seen Unbreakable, so I was confused. Confusion was the right word.
I watched it the first time. I was still in elementary school. I watched it on a little channel called UPN, Saturday afternoon.
Oh, my God. Channel 13?
Channel 13, yeah.
What did you watch? You just watched Unbreakable?
Yeah,
or-
it was just they just put it like on a Saturday afternoon.
No,
one
that
day
makes
on
sense.
UPN.
I thought you meant like you watched Split.
Oh, no, I watched Unbreakable on
I was
UPN.
like, what time machine are you in, dude? Go back to UPN, dude.
No, yeah, that's the first time I ever watched Unbreakable. Then I watched Split with her, and I remember when that scene pops up, and we'll get to it. I remember just being one of the few people in there, like, oh, okay, we're going for that. We want to get into these box office numbers.
Let's hit it.
Let's hit it, man. Budget $75 million. Ended up having a box office $248.1 million and a cinema score of a C.
That's accurate.
That makes
That
sense.
sounds about
Yeah,
accurate.
that's the first time where I've been like, okay.
No.
Yeah.
I would have said C minus, but
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know with M. Night Shyamalan movies, he self-finances a lot of his films. So he self-financed that $75 million himself.
I think he worked with with the Disney for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
They helped add some money to it. He made a deal, and he also made a deal with the third one, which we'll get to when we get to that. But yeah, he usually does put the money in.
Yeah, because I know for his movie The Visit, he mortgaged his house to pay for that film.
As you do.
well,
I was
yeah.
like, damn.
As one does.
But I mean, he does have the benefit of the first movie the movie that came before Unbreakable was Sixth
Sixth
Sense,
Sense.
And it did
and
well.
it was
Yes.
yeah, it
Arguably,
did
I
well.
think his best film.
The Happening is his best film. Let's be real.
Which
We got it for
which
free.
one did I watch? I don't know which one.
Signs.
Signs that one.
I know a lot. I feel like a lot of people liked Signs.
Oh, I remember a lot of people loving that film.
Yeah,
was
I feel
not
like a lot of people
terrible
liked it.
movie up to a point,
Yeah.
but then it got to that point, and you're like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I was upset with Signs because I grew up on like War of the Worlds. Like I've actually heard like the actual broadcasting, like the original broadcasting of War of the Worlds. So like growing up with that knowledge and then going and seeing Signs, like even after like the Tom Cruise War of the World, like because I saw it in that order. I didn't see Signs when it first came out. And I was just like, this is War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
So like even The Happening is like somewhat similar-esque to War of the Worlds. So I'm just like, why is he just recreating War of the Worlds in a not so great way?
Yes.
Well, we'll get into all of that because
yeah.
we're gonna do a very extensive dive into M. Night Shyamalan.
We love the M. Night.
And if you are just joining us, consider subscribing. Also, there's going to be heavy spoilers ahead, so be wary of that. So, who wants to go first on Unbreakable 2000?
I think you should go first because you
Well,
like
Fresh.
you're new to the whole thing. Yeah, I was like, you're new to the whole.
Oh,
you're
you're
scared
normal.
normal.
sorry, Normal.
She
I
has her
wrote
paper
I wrote a lot of notes on Unbreakable. I didn't write as much on the sequels.
Yeah.
So I'll start out with just the very opening shot when they're on the train, and there's that continuous shot of just the conversation of Bruce Willis and that lady. And I'm a big fan of like a continuous shot in a movie, like Goodfellas, and like even with TV, like with The Bear, that whole episode is one shot. I didn't think that I could hate a continuous shot more than that opening scene in Unbreakable, where it just keeps going back and forth between their conversation. It really annoyed the shit out of me.
I can see that 100%.
yeah.
That does. It's one of those things where like you watch, you're like rewatching it. I remember just being like, I don't.
It was bugging me.
Yeah.
I get it because like we were talking about it, and it's like it's supposed to be from the perspective of the little girl.
Yeah.
But you never see that little girl again after that shot. Basically, they never
I don't
really
think
talk
you
about her again.
specifically, yeah, I don't think you specifically see that. Well, obviously you don't see the little girl because she's on the train, she dies. But
Rip.
I feel like
Yeah, rip.
so, and I might say that I might mention this more than once, like when discussing any M. Night. I feel like M. Night has these like spectacular ideas, right? These like crazy, like great ideas.
Well, give it a
and
second.
They're just
No.
executed horribly. Like I feel like if he just like wrote, like he had an idea and he's like, look, I have this idea where I want to do this, this, and this, aka like Stephen King kind of thing. And then he's like, but I'm going to direct my own movie. And then you get freaking Maximum Overdrive. Like, just like stick to one thing and like put 100% in it. Because now he's like, what? He in
It
this
was
one,
writer, director, producer,
director,
Yeah.
starred in
Yeah.
technically.
Cinematography.
Yeah, like
Special
he's
effects.
doing all the things, which like I can appreciate. Like it's very much like we talked about it when we did Clerks with Kevin Smith. Like I appreciate you putting your all into this movie, but like I feel like especially for like the first few times, like just give it your all in one thing, whether it's directing, writing, producing, etc. Whatever. And like I don't mind his little like I'm gonna be in the movie. Like I don't need him to have lines. Like I very much wish it was more Hitchcockian.
And he'll always have lines.
Yeah, like one line I think
Always.
would be fine. Like if he's just kind of like, oh, like in like Devil, like if he got in the elevator and he's like level 2, that would have been fine with me.
I
Like,
want to say
okay,
that might
cool,
be what it is. I
whatever.
don't remember,
Yeah.
but
That's fine, and I'm totally fine with that. But then like the whole like if he's got multiple lines and he like has an actual named character, dude, we get it. This is your movie. Like
spoiler alert.
yeah. Like and now his
Spoiler.
daughter's in it with like Trap. Like his daughter was like the singer
The main
in Trap.
singer,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's the singer. So
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
and not to say that she's not talented. Like I haven't seen
Hopefully
Trap.
she's more talented than he is.
They've been posting clips on social media of her acting in.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, I have no leg to stand on with her because I haven't seen anything. But like, I just like I get like very nepo baby vibes of like, all right,
He's writer,
on, dude.
director, producer, acting coach.
I will say though, the point that you brought up earlier, 100% deja vu, because Joseph said the exact same thing.
yeah,
A few hours ago.
because like word for word, she just said
Verbatim,
it. That's
Great
he's one of the
idea.
most frustrating directors for me because it's like you have a great idea.
Great
It's
plan.
the landing for me that always seems to
execution,
be
the landing.
murky.
Shit,
It's
so
like
shaky.
the idea's great, the writing's fine. Like 90% of the film, I'm in, and then you try to land that bad boy, and it's like, oh, really? That's the choice you went with? You went with that door, like instead of just smoothing
Posting,
it out.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's he's a very frustrating director to watch.
Yeah.
Because it's like I do genuinely want to like some of your work, and then we get to the third act, and then we get to the end, and it's just I have like this weird like that could have been a lot better. Had you just kind of maybe had somebody help you towards the end, a little like writer credit, somebody that could help you execute what you wanted, not just have this like weird ending that I kind of don't need all the time.
Yeah. We had a deep dive on that because we were like, well, what about like what made this one movie so good? Oh, it was the first one out of the gate. It was a great idea. Dialogue was great. Story
Yeah.
was fleshed out. What about, say, like, she was like, oh, you like Devil? And I was like, it was all right. It was like the first one that I had seen after Sixth Sense that I was like, yeah, I could get behind that. And it was because it was some other guy wrote it.
yeah. He had only produced like the story for it, and I was like, that's perfect. Like, and you're gonna get a lot of credit still. You're gonna get a lot of that revenue still by just creating an idea for something. So I mean, like that's arguable. Like, you know, sometimes it's just better to do, you know, like one thing or a piece of a thing and let the people who do what they do so well, like really flesh out your movie, and then you might get more in the box office. You might get more money that you don't have to put up your house for to do these things.
And then I think that that's a good point because, yeah, like your first movie, boom, you made tons of money off of that, Unbreakable. And then you start getting into those real stinkers, and you're like, yeah, now you're going to have to put your house up, buddy.
Yeah, because I feel like now he's just comical. Like
It's
at
the
first
trust.
in the 90s, everybody's like, oh, he's the guy with like, ooh, he's always got those twists, right? Like, ooh, what's the twist in this one? We don't know. And
it's
then
Lady in the Water.
and Lady in the Water is frustrating for me too. But I feel like now it's almost comical of like, oh, what's the stupid twist gonna be? Like, because even like in Trap, like I feel like Trap would have been a great movie had they not given away the twist that he was the guy. Like,
It's-
I know
it's a
there's
great
another
idea.
twist. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I know there's
Well,
another
yeah, but
twist
that's
in there,
the
but
point of the movie is that you're now in his shoes and you're like, oh, how's he gonna get out of
but
this
I
one?
feel like what a great thing, like what a great twist that could have been. It could have been as great as like The Sixth Sense if it was marketed differently. Because now, yes, we're trying to do different things with filmmaking. Where like you're doing like, what is it? What's that Henry one? Hardcore Henry. Kind of like you're taking risks. Like you're doing different types
okay, I
of
get where you're
filmmaking.
getting at now.
You know, like to see if like we can get a better, you know, a different type of cinema now, because like we've seen everything before, right? Like stories are starting to repeat itself. So at what point, you know, do we switch up the game? Like I don't mind his train scene where he's going back and forth, but it was too much.
It's too long.
Yeah, like had you focused on Bruce Willis, he's talking, he's doing his thing, you move over to the lady, she does the thing, and then maybe gone back to Bruce Willis
Yeah.
and then cut the scene, that would have been fine.
I'll give him 4.
Yeah,
After
like a
that,
back and forth,
go
and
to
then
a
you're
normal
done.
shot.
Yeah,
Like
because she
down.
leaves. She's only in the scene for like what, a matter of a minute or two,
So, like, her
and then
POV
she's like,
really
I'm gonna
isn't
find
that
another scene.
significant
Yeah,
to that
and it's
actual
just to
story.
show like, oh yeah, he took his ring off.
No.
Which like characters, choices.
So that's one of the things that I put too is that Mooney, what's your initial thoughts on this? We haven't really touched base with
I know
you.
we went on like a M Night tangent.
Yeah, because we're gonna shit on this for probably the next 3 movies now.
I watched Split, and then years later I watched Unbreakable. I kind of like the idea of it kind of just being like a grounded superhero movie, quote unquote, if you will, where you kind of don't really know that they're superhero, or they don't really know that they're superheroes, and they kind of just like
Sorry, we're all like,
live in this world kind of thing. I thought it was interesting. It's an interesting concept.
Exactly.
It's an interesting concept. I know when Joseph and I were watching it, he kind of compared it to like you have like your Superman and your Lex Luthor kind of thing with Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson's characters, whose names I don't know.
David Dunn and Elijah. I honestly don't know what his last name is.
Glass. Yeah.
It's
Elijah
not Glass.
Glass.
It's
Mr.
not. Yeah, it was like
Mr.
his name. Yeah, he
Glass.
goes by Mr. Glass, but
Yeah,
his,
no, I know.
his name's Elijah something.
Yeah. So I thought it was like an interesting. It put things into perspective for me, because when I went into this blind, I was like, "What's happening?" He's like, he gave me like a little synopsis, and I was like, "Okay," but also, why? Like, I just want to know the why of it.
I think for like at its time, we're just getting out of, like the Batman movies.
Yes.
And like all those superhero movies are very like CGI, big monster, big third act, big budget. And this one was like more of a very grounded comic book movie that we had not seen yet. Really, like they're not wearing ridiculous costumes. They're not like in these like, well, yeah, Mr. Glass.
I was like, Glass.
But like he's not in like this like big like gear and like, you know what I mean. Like so the grounded effect for that, especially for the superhero genre, we don't really get that until like Nolan did the Batman movies and made those grounded. So I do have appreciation for that aspect. But yeah, like you said, Superman, Luthor, there's things like that we had not seen. So I think at the time it worked, but now rewatching it, I'm like, there's certain things I would have changed or made better, executed better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would actually slightly disagree, because I think that this idea and this format of creating these superheroes, I think this idea definitely holds up. I think somebody else, like if maybe not like a James Gunn, I feel like he does superhero movies very well, but it's very flashy and showy, and I feel like we need that kind of like almost like an indie version of this, right? Like where it is like a secretive, like, you know, and I like the idea that like for me, like superheroes, I don't like superheroes. I like the
hero
heroes
aspect.
part. Yeah, like I think that like everyday normal people, like right now, like not to be too harping on like real life, but like we have these LA fires, and you have all of these people, firefighters, people, even just general people helping out, donating, like doing what they can to help support people who have lost their houses or, you know, are being evacuated. I feel like those are very much real people doing real things without any superpowers. And I feel like a lot of these things that people have, like Elijah's disease is very much a real thing. Like there's people with bone density that are like very, very thick, very, very thin. Like David, super strength. Like there's people like that scene where he's lifting the weights, like, and they're like, how much is it? And he's like 350. And we looked it up, and like some guys lifted 1,000. Like, and that's a real person.
Yeah, world record was
Yeah.
1,000 pounds.
So, I
and that
mean,
was
like-
from like a year or two ago.
Like arguably, yeah. So like arguably, like I love this idea that like you have these real people
Yeah.
who just happen to have these special capabilities. Like same thing with men versus women. Like men are typically upper body, like they're stronger, they have a stronger upper body, whereas women, their lower bodies are obviously, you know, typically a little bit stronger as well due to DNA. You get into the North stuff, but
Genetics.
yeah, genetics, like just natural everyday type of base. But
Evolution.
that's what I'm saying, is just like I love this idea
Yeah.
that like an everyday person can be that hero, and then you have the vigilante of like him going out in his raincoat and like trying to help people, which I think is very, you know,
Well, especially like I heard somebody like I was looking at reviews and they're like, he's Superman without really knowing he's Superman.
Yeah.
Like, he's looking for a purpose. He doesn't know what it really is, and then until he finds out, oh, I fucking have super strength, I could go do this.
Yeah.
And I do think that's a nice little difference from the other things that we've gone throughout the years. Like I kind of dig like the comic book panel stuff that they kind of did, because I did think that was like an homage to like comic books and the genre. Like comic books, yeah, they're flashy, but they're also telling a story. So I feel like this one is very story driven from the comic
Yeah.
book aspect. So that's why that's what things I enjoyed about Unbreakable. But yeah, there are things now that's like, yeah,
A lot of it for me was camera shots. Certain shots that he got in this, I was not a big fan of, and a lot I like a lot of the upside down shots. Like I know that you said that it was like his because you looked it up, and it was like a perspective kind of thing of like
it's
the
just
world's upside down.
I mean,
or something
it's
like
very
that.
much like M. Night throughout this trilogy very much gives us like a positive, negative, a good versus evil, a back versus forth, and upside versus downside. So you're very much seeing like the opposite, right? Because you very much so have like David, who is the hero, and then you have Elijah, who like obviously ends up being the villain, which like even I feel like you could sniff out that he's the villain to begin with. But like even like when they get into Glass, like they have certain color schemes, and like there's very much like an evil versus good, an opposite. So like by him flipping the camera or like doing which way he
does
goes,
it a lot, yeah.
it's very much okay, we've seen it from David's perspective, we're now going to flip it, and now you're seeing the evil side of it. So it's an artistic choice. Could it have worked? Yes. I feel like
It
he
was
does
the
it.
way that he did it that I didn't.
Yeah,
like.
like I feel like instead of going like, I guess like a forward flip, I almost wish it would have been like a crooked tilt of a flip to show almost like the above ground versus below, heaven versus hell, good versus evil kind of flip. Because usually it's kind of horizontal, not vertical when you
Yeah.
flip.
For me, it was the shot where they're looking at the comic book and it's upside down. And
with the box.
And then when he turns it, it's still upside down when it's like getting flipped, and then
Yeah.
it goes around again, and then it's right. And I was like, just have it be right and then flip it. It's the same thing, but like less convoluted
Yeah.
for me. That's what I thought.
I feel like there could have been a way where like the book was upside down, and maybe like somehow with the shot it could have been like a 360 where he's flipping it, and then we're also kind of getting his view of it at the same time. I don't know.
Something. I mean,
Like
'cause
I don't know. You'd have to play with
he
it.
made
but-
choices that were like, I don't know if I would have made that choice, big dog.
Yeah. I did like the one shot in the hospital though, where it's like that 360 where David comes out and he's just kind of like seeing like everybody who's waiting to hear about their loved ones.
So
and then
that
it
was
kinda
my
comes back to-
side part was the
Yeah.
one shot that I did really like when he comes out and it's everyone's family and they're all in a line like a train along
Yeah,
the side
like the
waiting.
train.
Just
Like
exactly.
the train.
I was like, yeah, I
think
get that.
that-
That's nice.
Yeah.
Shit like that, that's good.
but then he does.
But then you do. But then you're like, oh, I'm gonna flip the camera around, and I was like, no, stop it. See, now you're doing too much.
Yeah.
You're doing too much, my guy.
Yeah.
Stop.
I feel like there's I feel like Sixth Sense was just like the appropriate amount of like he got his like fun little shots that he got in, because he likes to do a lot of those like almost like tunnel, I don't know what the specific term is, but like it's like a tunnel shot where you're looking through like almost a couple different doorways or rooms, and you're seeing like you're focusing on one end, but then you can also kind of see something on the other side. I know there's a term for it, but I
Well, yeah, I
didn't
mean,
go
because
to
what
college.
you're talking about, where like it's in certain doorways, it's like framing.
Yeah.
But then I forget, where it's something's closer and it's in focus. and
Yeah,
something
I can't
further
think of
is
the term
also
right
in
now,
focus.
to be honest. Yeah.
But yeah, for, pacing for me was a really big thing in this. I feel like the pacing was off. It drug a lot.
Yeah, yeah. On the rewatch, I definitely felt it I was like, yeah, this is
Yeah.
Kind of drags at
Yes.
points. Yeah.
The ending. Or is there more that we want to talk about before we jump into that part?
I mean, I've pretty much like the same. I have like so many like
I have so
things
many
that-
notes, and it's just like shitting on a lot of things. It's like, yeah, we get it. Like he has grandiose ideas, but then it's like they're convoluted, and you think
Yeah.
it's better than it is, and you're putting music in certain places that
you
are
could have
like,
cleaned up a lot of things, and the
Yeah.
film would have probably.
I
been
feel like a
little
lot
better.
of a lot of things in here are very like coincidental. Like who would have thought that out of like the entire world, right, of like maybe superheroes, they're both in Philly?
Most
Like how
stationed at the same-
coincidental. Yeah, or and then there's like one, I think I forgot who it is, but there's like a scene. I'm trying to see if I wrote it down. There's like one lady who's like, "You don't remember me from that time?" And he, like it's so there's so many like coincidence where it's like in Signs, like arguable, it's in a small town, so obviously you're gonna run into the same people. You're gonna grow up with these
Yes.
people. Like they're all gonna mismatch and they're gonna know your business. But like you're telling me Philadelphia, they just
Big ass
happen to
Philly.
run into each other at the same time, and
No
you're telling me
shot.
that
No.
this one guy who like yes, I like the contrast of like he's so fragile and he's done so many destructive things because he's and like you know whatever, but he just started in Philly of all places and only Philly to like make a train crash and like you know make you know a bomb go off and like do all like a fire happen in Philly because he sensed that another super being was in Philly.
that was also
Why not Denver?
Yeah, and that comes into play in Glass
Yeah.
later on. But looking at it from this perspective, yes, you're absolutely
Yeah.
correct. But also, my question is like, what the fuck is his superpower? Like, his mind is a super because he sat in a chair for however long.
Well,
and
because
just
you could argue
coming up
that
with
yeah.
ideas and
Professor X.
shit. Yeah,
Well, yeah, because you could argue that like it's the same thing as like Green Goblin, like their science and their like brain power was their superpower, if you will. Like their
for me, it's
know?
just not conveyed that way.
yeah.
Like they convey Bruce Willis's strength by like him training and stuff,
Yeah.
but they never show like how Elijah's brain works or whatever to why he's so like.
Yeah.
they're just
Well, I
like,
think because
he
our
had time.
focus, yeah, I think our focus in this movie is is David.
Agreed.
So-
Agreed. But if you're gonna do something and point it out and make a big deal about it for 3 fucking movies, like
Yeah, I
Give
wish
me
they
something,
did
man.
like establish some like. I know that he obviously did all those bad things that caused all those things to happen, but like I would have loved to see the scene of him just actually working behind it and actually like making those things happen. Like make him be the arch nemesis, make him be the villain in a grander scale. So we're like, okay, well, you know, he has to stop him, not just but for the things he heard he did.
Yeah.
Like I would have loved to have seen that.
and also you can't because you've now pigeonholed yourself in a corner because that's the twist.
Yes,
And then
that's the payoff. And
on top of all that, you go through this whole movie and the very end of it, it's text.
Yeah, I hated
This
that
is
too.
what happened. I just
Dude,
looked
I
at her
hate
and I was
that.
like, "Get the."
That's
I
such
walked
a-
away. I was like, "The fuck out."
If
Yeah,
it was like
it's a
one
cheap
thing
way.
where you start with a quote and then you end with a quote, like
Yes.
maybe, and I feel like, and I'll get into it more with like Glass and everything when we get there, but like I feel like, especially with this trilogy, there's so many like biblical parallels, like where it's just like it's very like I couldn't really make like a full connection, obviously, like a exact parallel, but it's very like Book of Revelations kind of meets like I don't know. I wrote it down. We'll talk about it in Glass, but
I had the same thought with the Book of Revelations and stuff, but I linked it more so to the use of color in the movie, like why David is green.
mhm.
James McAvoy's, I don't
I think
what's
he's
his name?
yellow.
Yellow,
Yeah, he's
yes.
Glass is
yellow.
purple.
Glass is
Yeah.
purple.
Purple.
So I related James McAvoy's color choice more to religion and like the Book
Yeah.
of Revelations. But
I
we'll get
I
into
did a
that in
yeah. I was like
Glass.
I did a breakdown of the colors as
Yeah.
well in Glass, but
Yeah,
yeah.
good as green, bad as purple. That was the main thing. that
That's
I
the
saw.
main, yeah.
But then you throw James McAvoy into it, and you're kind of throw it for a loop a little bit.
I did write down like 2 questions, which like you could make. I feel like one of these this one question into like a whole podcast on its own. But my main first question was like, I put down at David's age, like, wouldn't you have asked so many more questions of like, man, this is so weird that like everybody's getting sick and like I've never gotten sick. Like, oh my God, I haven't had a sick day in like 5 years. Isn't that weird? Well, you've never had chicken pox or like you've never broken a bone, been to the hospital. Like, and obviously we know that like he knows that he has some sort of capability, but I'm just like, him going around and asking these questions seems weird. Like if he would have like asked it to like befuddle somebody and kind of take them off that track, like maybe. But like it seems weird that he went so far to so many places to ask so many questions, to do all these things, for him to not know and not ask these questions while like having a kid already, being married, having all these jobs, almost having a football career, like, and you wouldn't ask these questions. Because I feel like I would certainly notice, like, after however many years you and I have been together, like, man, you've never gotten sick? Like, not once? Never done anything? Never bled? Never, like, nothing?
Yeah,
Be a little
we talked about
fishy.
it after that. Like, well, the blah blah blah. How would you know? I was like, oh yeah, I mean, unless you, because if you think about it, there are people that have never broken a bone because they just live a life of a certain way.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever broken a bone?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've never broken. I've sprained stuff. But I've never broken anything.
Yeah. But I mean, like, but there you go. But he said he's like sprained, but he's sprained
I've
stuff.
sprained.
Obviously, we know he bleeds, like,
Not
you know,
sick.
kind of thing. Not sick at all. Not sick at all.
My voice just sounds like this now.
Yeah.
I will try to wrap this up as many times as I can. The kid almost shooting Bruce Willis, that scene is so rough for me. Just, why is the gun not, like, besides the whole, like, why is the gun not in a safe and it's already, you know, like, loaded kind of thing, and then, like, you also have this kid going to shoot his dad. Like, what if he was wrong? What if he was
100%.
wrong?
100%.
And then the dad's dead, and, like, even, like, Bruce Willis is like, if you shoot me, I'm gonna leave you. Like, I mean, obviously, because if you're wrong, he's dead. And then two, like, what? He shoots you, and then, like, you're gone? Like, this is wild. Like, I mean, what kind of, like...
It happens all the
know.
time, especially, like, there should be gun safety there in that
Oh,
situation.
absolutely. Like, if you are going to have a gun, absolute safety. Like,
If
not in
one
a
has
closet,
gun. Yeah,
loaded.
Well, it wasn't loaded, so that's a good thing.
So the kid just knew how to load a gun?
Well, apparently. Well,
I don't know how to load a
it was a
gun. I was like,
revolver.
I don't know how to load
That's
a
one
gun.
of the easiest guns that you could probably.
I mean, I could
figure
probably figure it out,
Yeah.
but, like, I don't know if I could figure it out as, like, a 7, 6, 8-year-old.
out. Yet they do.
I feel like if the kids
Yeah.
nowadays
Yeah, they
can
figure-
figure it out,
I mean,
however young they
they
are,
have the
They got
technology.
the old YouTube.
Yeah,
They have
that
the
video
technology.
games, all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I mean, it was separate. It was on the very top shelf. It's not, excusable.
I
Imagine
guess.
being like the crazy. I was like, "What are you in here for?" I shot my dad. I thought he was Superman.
Yeah, kill my dad. I killed my mom because she saw.
And then
Witnesses.
my other question, which once again, this could be it's just like very brief answer, I guess, if you can. Do you guys believe that comics are a form of history? And I say that with like, I'll give a little bit more to that question, so it's not just like this very vague.
You're talking about like comic books?
I mean it, yeah, like comic books, like do you feel that they should be treated historically? I guess is more so what I'm saying. Like as pieces of history. Sorry.
Yes, but hear me out. I don't see it as like it's telling like a story that's necessarily true, but it is a form of media in which a story is conveyed, much like how stories were conveyed around a campfire or like a legend or a tale or something like that. And then now going forward, because they've been in the stratosphere, the ether of all, ingrained in our culture, that, if you see a, like, what is it, Action Comics 1 or whatever, like that's an historical thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and on top of that, it's also art.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like culturally art, story, in that particular medium, I think it should be treated as like
I agree.
something
Yeah.
special.
Yeah.
I was just out of curiosity. I think they make like a comment in the movie about it being a part of history, and like
He says it as like it really happened, and this is
Yeah.
their way of like dripping it in. That, so there is a form of that that happens. Like the government sort of strains information to you so that when something happens, it's not as. I've heard that conspiracy
Shocking,
theory.
I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
shocking.
aliens could be real, and then it's like, we saw a flying saucer. Like, yeah, no, I've seen that on Instagram.
Well, they're saying that shit about the drones. They're
Yeah,
preparing us for.
yeah.
That's what they're showing the drones everywhere.
Like-
It's like
are the drones not
So that is a
still
way
here?
of.
I,
Well, I mean,
I think they calmed down for a bit.
Oh, I was like,
not-
I
not
don't
in
wa-
Ukraine.
I don't
Yeah.
watch stuff. So
I saw. It doesn't matter. But there is that form of thinking, and I think that's where he was kind of going with that. Do I agree with it necessarily? I don't know.
yeah.
But do I see it as like, no, that's truth? Like the Rocketeer was a real thing? They might have tried to make it a real thing,
Yeah.
but I still don't have my fucking jetpack.
They have water jetpacks.
It's not the same.
Let's see.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know. I feel like comics are very much just, yeah, like you said, like it's almost like it's a colorful representations of and like an exaggerated form of something that really happened.
Yes.
Like we had real dictators in life.
Mhm.
Insert villain here.
Yeah.
That is also a dictator.
Especially like when there's like wars and stuff. You got Captain America, he's fighting
Yeah.
Nazis. Like,
Perfect,
You got
yeah.
Superman
Perfect
going
example,
to
perfect
Russia, and
example.
stopping a bomb. Like they'll take like real life events and they'll add it to like this fictional character, so people can be like, oh look, like Superman.
it's relatable.
Yeah, it's relatable.
Yeah. So I don't know.
With that, yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
With that being said, do we want to throw a rating on this bad boy?
Go for it, Mooney.
I'm conflicted on that.
I wouldn't call myself an M. Night hater. I don't care for. Yeah, I don't care for any of his movies.
None of them?
No.
Sixth Sense?
Have you seen The Sixth Sense? I don't think you have.
No.
You? Yeah.
Oh.
I've seen that one.
I mean,
You gotta see
Yeah.
Sixth Sense.
You're
Holding out probably for the best one.
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's leave it at that. Let's say I'm holding out for the best one.
Yeah,
I
then
feel
you'll
like
be
everything that I've seen, it's whatever. It's very much always over the top, ideas of grandeur, if you will, with him, and then like we've all mentioned, it's just somewhere throughout the movie it just goes downhill. I still like the whole grounded superhero, hero, villain, anti-villain, vigilante thing going on with this movie. I will give it a 2.5 out of 5 for this one, just because I like the idea of the film. Everything else I couldn't care less for.
Yeah. M. Night, if you're listening, we love the idea.
It's a common theme.
Love the idea. Hate the execution.
Ideas guy.
I think that's just one of the things. I think he should stick to writing.
Being a brainchild.
Yes, being. Are you guys playing footsies?
No, I put mine and he went that way. So I was
Touching
like,
tips. Touching toe tips.
touching tootsies together.
Interlocked.
Yeah.
Holding.
It's just swinging.
Yeah, I think it's just
Okay.
stick to the ideas. Have someone execute your visions.
So 2.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Respectable.
Respectable.
I was like,
Joseph, go.
Okay.
oh, I was like, it could be one of us. It doesn't matter.
I liked it a lot when I first watched it. I watched it a few times because my family really loved his movies for whatever reason. Like growing up, I think I watched Signs like over 8 times. No, like they bought the movie, we went to watch in the theaters. So I watched these movies plenty of times. I did like it as when I was growing up, but watching it and I hadn't watched it for years. So watching it again, it didn't hit the same. But again, like you said, I do like the ideas. I do like the grounded superhero themes. It's a different idea for what we've seen in other comic book movies, so I dug that. But there's issues there, you know, like you said, Philadelphia. I kind of wish if that was in a small town, I would have been cool with that. Settings, pacing, filming. He's a guy that just frustrates me so much. Like I've said again, like he could do well, but he just can't stick the landing. So I'm at a 3. At a 3 out of 5. I do enjoy certain aspects of it. I do enjoy the yin and yang between Bruce and Mr.
Yeah.
Glass. Like I do like those moments in the film, and like again, I do like the little comic panel things that they were doing in editing. Those are moments that I enjoy, and I do think it's a different variation of a comic book film that not a lot of people do anymore because they don't want to take that chance. They just want to make these billionaire projects now
feel
with
like they
these.
should, though.
They
It'd
should.
be
They
so
absolutely
good.
should. So yeah, I do appreciate it for what it was and what it is, but I do think it could have been way better. So it's a frustrating 3 that I'm giving it.
Do we have a poppy that's a frustrated poppy?
Just kind of like
Me. Yeah.
Coming out of
Yeah. Like the eyebrows just down.
a steaming hot popcorn.
steaming hot poppy.
I was like, I'll take it. I'll let you be the last word on the
That's fine. I don't
on the
care.
unbreakable. Yeah, I definitely agree with the frustration. I feel like it's kind of the same thing, like kind of how I felt with like Kevin Smith with like the Clerks comment that I made, where it seems like he's very much like just out of college and he's trying to prove something. Like very pretentious writing. He's like trying to be like, ooh, I'm mysterious and I like have this idea and there's going to be this twist and I'm going to fool all of you and do all these things. And it just, like we've said, it just doesn't stick the landing. So, I mean, I like a lot of these, like he very much obviously plants certain things that are foreshadowing. There's symbolistic, like there's so many things, but I don't know. Unbreakable, I feel like I remember really liking it. I love the idea, yeah, like this modern superheroism kind of thing, if you will. I don't know. It's just like the writing is so rough, and I might be with Mooney on this one with like a 2.5. It's a little rough for me. I love the idea, but like, what is a good idea if not executed in a proper way? I think the only thing that really makes this kind of like a great movie is the actors. Like I think Bruce Willis is Bruce Willis. Like I feel like he's done better movies and everything. This isn't his finest acting hour, but like I believe him in a way in certain scenes. Like I truly believe that his character wants to do good. So I get that. Samuel Jackson, I love Samuel Jackson as a bad guy. He's not, I mean, it's not Oscar worthy, but it's not terrible. I also love the fact, I wrote this down too, that I like that he went from selling S.H.I.E.L.D. comics to being a part of them. So, fun little Marvel joke.
Yeah. No.
But yeah.
Nick Fury to just furious at how terrible this movie is. Oh!
Yeah, that's it. 2.5.
So yeah, 2.5?
Yeah, I'm going to throw that. Here we go.
I get what you're saying. I get what everyone's saying. And I understand that it is a great concept. Executed poorly. Directed poorly, in my opinion. I think the dialogue is a big thing for me. Throughout all three of these movies, as well as every single one of his other movies, dialogue I feel like is not a strong suit for him. Like some people can just write, but he writes a certain way that I think he could do differently. Like it should be, you just write how you would write anything, and then when it comes out of a certain character's mouth, it sort of starts to find its own. And I feel like every character talking, I just see M. Night being like
he's at his
typewriter. Like it's not even a computer. He's like, I'm gonna be different, and and like pushing it over and shit, and pages are flying off the thing.
Yes.
Pacing.
I'm gonna be green and blue.
Yeah, pacing for me was just bad. They spent a lot of time on shit that was fucking unimportant, and like a lot of dragging on things that are like, I get it, we can move on to the next thing, or you can pack more in there so that at the end of the movie you don't have to just put text like this happened and then this happened.
Yeah,
just show it, dude. Don't just tell me, just show me. With all that being said, I give it a 1.
Oof.
This is probably my roughest rating.
As you were giving your review, I was almost thinking, do you think he purposely did the text as an homage to comic book text?
Then he could have done it in a different way. Like he could have done, he still could have shown, because then they could have like gone to a panel and like stills of it and like have it be a blurb, and then be a blurb somewhere else and just show the events happening,
like a Batman, like crash bang boom,
something like that. I meant more like the Comic Sans.
I feel like it would have been good, like a comic strip. Ending.
Yes.
And then just go into the ending that way. That would have been probably better, and then it would have maybe gotten a 2.5 from me.
I almost wish that maybe he could have gone like a very Sin City, where you saw like the parallels and like that bar where it's like you see David doing his thing and then Elijah doing his thing rolling on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, you could have done a lot of things like that.
I feel like that's very campy though, like especially for M. Night. Like,
but even though, and we'll talk about that when we cross that bridge too with Sin City, that's like the ultimate comic book movie.
Yeah.
Like that is
the like legit.
When you think of a comic
out of a
book
page
movie, like
I think of Elijah Wood.
Yeah,
with his creepy little eyes.
Yeah, and they show cutscenes and like cutting to different shots in that exact way. Yeah. With that being said, we will now be going on to a little movie from 2016 called Split.
Little big movie.
Joseph?
Yeah, $9 million budget. Made $278.5 million in the box office with a cinema score of a B+.
Yeah. Again, I feel like, it's pretty accurate. cinema score.
Now we're reviewing it. We're reviewing it knowing that it was part of that universe. Or
And that's my
it-
big thing
Oh.
with that.
Are you
is
okay?
that
Me?
What happened?
Yeah, no, I was
She
petting
jumped
her,
or
and then
something?
when Joseph, you moved your arm, it scared her, so she started.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Fine.
what? So
Way
with
to go,
that,
Joseph.
so with that being said, I feel like he just kind of threw it in at the end, like, oh, and guess what? That
all-
the
yeah.
idea is 20 years old, man. There's no way that you planned it like that. Like you're just like, oh, it's that now.
So, like, according to him, he said he's been writing this specific movie split when he was filming Unbreakable, and that this was his plan from the get-go. Now, do we believe him? I don't.
I don't.
I don't think he would have waited.
I mean, I don't call you a
16
liar.
years.
Yeah.
I don't.
16 plus.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying. I think it's just if it came out like between Split and Glass, like 3 years. I think that's a reasonable amount. I feel like sequels nowadays are just taking forever and ever and ever to come up that I kind of just lose interest. Like if I were to have watched Unbreakable before Split, I would have been like,
Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes
16 years
sequels
later,
do
I
take a
don't
long
care.
time to come out, and then you lose.
yeah, I feel like I would have lost interest if I knew
Star
there was
Wars.
a sequel. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Batman 2 for Joseph.
Do not disagree.
Anyways,
We're not going to talk about that.
Technically, it was only like 10 years.
Still a decade.
Yeah, this was like 16 going on 20.
Yeah.
also different director.
Also, yeah.
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 Multiple
They did.
directors on that.
But like I don't know if that was, maybe he did write it. I don't know if that was always his plan, but just the way they executed it, just with him coming out, and I remember just because we went to like a matinee to watch it, so there wasn't that many people in that fucking theater. And I remember just the silence of when they showed Bruce Willis and me being like, "Oh shit!" Like we're doing that, and I'm like, "Oh, just me." I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
"Fuck, man!" I'm like, "All right."
Only
like,
M. Night fan there.
yeah, I'm the only one that's like, I remember Unbreakable.
I was there.
I was there. I witnessed it.
UBN.
UPN Channel 13. I watched it.
Regional.
I also saw this in movies. Or in theaters. Sorry, in movies. I saw this in movies.
In the pictures. We went to the talkies to see it.
It was great. Cary Grant always took the stairs. I saw this with a friend, and my friend had not seen Unbreakable, and I had seen Unbreakable. So it was very funny because we got to the end, and then all of a sudden I'm just like, oh! And then they were just completely like, what? What is it? Oh, Bruce Willis? He's cool. And I was like, no! It's not that. I was like, it's together.
But just imagine, like, you don't watch Unbreakable, like, did you just shoehorn Bruce Willis at the end here? Like,
I know, right?
what?
Like, why is Bruce Willis
You
important?
waited till like almost the credits to just be
I
like,
like
Bruce
to think,
Willis.
Yeah.
I like to think about that a lot.
Just
Just the one guy who never saw any of the other ones just saw that and was like, Bruce?
Like, what are you doing in here?
This is like
Just
Oceans
yeah.
that he just lives in this universe.
And then have to go back and watch Unbreakable once you find that out, and they're just like, oh no.
no,
Did I write that down somewhere? I think I wrote it down for Glass, but I'm gonna bring it. I feel like I could have arguably brought it up for either of these movies, but like Bruce Willis in the 80s, 90s. I thought about this while we were watching this movie. Do you think he could have been a good Batman? 80s, 90s Bruce Willis, not now. Obviously not.
I think he would have been a better Batman than George Clooney.
So we're talking about Die Hard, Bruce, right?
Like he
Yeah,
has,
like Die,
he has hair.
yeah,
Yeah,
Die
he has
Hardy,
hair.
yeah.
Okay.
Especially seeing with this, because I feel like he has the capability to be obviously like a big action star Bruce Willis, you know, Batman, and then also I feel like he can do the very much like brooding, like think Sixth Sense, think this movie where he's kind of like he's very much like kind of not really like a family guy, like he's almost very much like, you know, kind of like a singled out, like maybe had a kid but ditched out, but now feels bad about it kind of thing. Like he's a very like one man.
I
kind of
feel
show.
I feel like he could be a good Bruce. Hear me out. My takes on that are Sin City, Bruce Willis, that noir kind of
Yeah.
like, but then also take into effect his age. I see him as more like the Bruce in Batman Beyond,
Yeah, I can
like
see
as
that.
an
That would
older
be sick.
Bruce.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said like 80s, 90s. Could
No,
be
yeah,
like,
but
could
just
be
in my
like
head,
that.
I'm like, I don't know, because even now, even like then, he seems like in Die Hard, he's not really an action hero. He's supposed to be the everyman who just kind of does something, and
Yeah.
but he's not really like an action star.
Yeah.
And I can't
Oh,
think
yeah,
of
no,
any
he's not,
any
yeah.
movie where he's really been like
Yeah.
even in the later the later Die Hards, like Die Hard with a Vengeance and shit, where it's like his daughter's in trouble and she's like an adult.
Yeah.
Like he's supposed to be like an action star in that, but I feel like he's still kind of reluctant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just throwing it out there. Like, I thought that. I was like, I could maybe see it.
Yeah.
Like definitely more than other people have played maybe Batman.
Like closer to akin to like a Keaton Batman.
Yeah. I was thinking like a mix between like a Keaton, but like also maybe like a Bruce, or not a Bruce, sorry, Ben Affleck type of. Because I mean, I feel like Ben Affleck is, not now, but like, I mean, when he played Batman versus like the age that I'm thinking that Bruce Willis would have been to play Batman, like would have been around the same, if not maybe a little bit less. Is what I'm imagining.
I could see him maybe playing a superhero, if you will. I don't think I would picture him as a Batman. I feel like I don't know that much about like superheroes, but I would picture him as being like a very solo superhero. I don't see him having like an Alfred. I don't see him having like a Robin. I can see him just being on his own, doing his own thing. I don't know if there is a superhero to exist.
That's
like
just
that.
the Flash.
Yeah.
I was like, you mean that's just David Dunn? Was the character
Yeah,
he
like
plays?
something
I was
like
like the
that,
character he
like-
plays.
Bruce Banner or something. I'm trying to figure out somebody that's just like solo. That
Like a
doesn't have,
solo
like,
kind of guy.
Yeah.
I don't see him having like a team to help him or being part of like a Justice League, if you will, or anything. Like he's just very much like on his own, doing his own thing.
We'll make him Two-Face. Fuck it. I'm just kidding.
Make me
Two-Face or
Harvey
maybe what's the guy from
a very like dark.
maybe like a Green Arrow-y.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like
kinda-
Green Arrow, but I know like Green Arrow
Cool,
has
though.
his like gang of.
Green Lantern? Lantern?
No.
Lantern?
No.
Well,
I could see him maybe
It
being a
depends.
Green
maybe
Arrow.
maybe an alternate
Yeah.
or like an alternate.
I don't know, I'm
universe
just throwing it
kind
out.
of-
I
No,
was
no,
throwing it
yeah,
out
it's a
there
great,
as like
great
a-
question.
It's a great question,
and
yeah.
it's topical because it's comic book.
Yeah.
Throw it out there. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was great. I mean, not like Oscar, like great, but like I thought it was definitely a step up from Unbreakable for sure. I think the acting was leaps better than the first one.
Yeah.
I think my only issues are just like small, like everyday issues that I feel like no matter who was in this role, who was directing this, I would have been like, seriously, dude? Like in the beginning when they're getting into the car, like you're telling me that if like when I'm in a car with somebody and they're getting into the car, how do you like are you turned away from them so you don't see who's getting in the car with you? Or are you like up front, at least have a peripheral to who's getting in the car? Like I never not know who I'm getting in the car with or who's getting in the car with me. Like
Yeah.
it seems strange that like none of these girls, like I get the girls in the back are like phone
Especially
myspace.com
her.
like what?
Especially her.
Yeah. Like I don't understand like
Yeah.
how that and like you're telling me you immediately looked over, saw this dude carefully put on his like things that he was putting on, and you didn't immediately get the fuck out of that car? Like if I saw somebody get into the car or even touch the handle, open the door, whatever, that is not my person, mom, whoever.
Yeah, and they're just like, "Excuse me, I
out
think
the
you have
fucking car.
No, I'm already
Immediately
out.
at the
Yeah,
car.
it's done.
I'm already like,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa, whoa,
Immediately
whoa,
at the
whoa.
car. And even like even if you can't outrun them for whatever reason, like
I would
you
try.
at least try.
Make an attempt.
Yeah, you try
You're
to.
right out in front of a pizza
Now you're in
place
the
thing,
middle.
like-
You're in the middle of a
Yeah,
big parking
like-
lot of a big mall.
Yeah.
You don't yell. You don't.
Cause a big
Somebody
scene.
help me! Blah blah blah. And also, there's not everybody else going to the, like when you're in the mall. Are you the only one walking to your
Exactly.
car? So nobody saw this man attack this man and then just was like, oh, not
Yeah,
nope,
dropped
not
all
me.
the food on the ground.
All
and
the
shit.
presents
yeah.
that get He just completely was just like everybody's just like, oh yeah, that's normal. That seems fine.
Oh, the dad must be really angry.
And also, if he left the dad on the ground for being passed out, how did he not run over the dad leaving?
So I wrote that in my notes. I was going to save it for later, but
Oh, sorry.
my question was, what happened to the dad? And I thought he just threw him in the trunk because you hear him just close the trunk. So I thought he like sprayed him or whatever and threw him in the trunk. You never see him again.
No.
What the
They
fuck?
do
He
talk
just
about him in
starved
the
to
news
death?
story. No, they talk about him in the
Drunk.
news story. So he like did whatever the chloroform, whatever fuck shit, and then they say in the news story that he woke up afterwards and noticed that the girls in the car were gone, and that's how.
He's
We
in the
know
trunk.
that.
Just drug him over 2 spaces and put him down over there.
Yeah, so I'm assuming
That
he
doesn't make
like
any fucking
the
sense.
struggle was there, and then he maybe laid his body down away from the car so that way he could back the car out.
Granted,
Like, what
if you're walking through, I mean, dude's just passed out. Like, I mean,
That's
you
what I
all
was
right,
about
buddy?
to say. Like you're just walking by. The guy's passed out. I probably had a few more, too many drinks. Let's fucking leave him. Like,
I mean, to be honest,
Yeah.
I might. single white female.
Yeah,
like,
it's different
seeing
for
about
us,
yeah,
'cause
like
we're
do I really want to be like,
capable
hey buddy, are
gentlemen.
you okay? And then he's like, I'm fine. Now you're not okay. And then
Does it smell like chloroform?
yeah, I'm like
That's
I'm
the
not
twist.
gonna take that
It's part of it. It's part
Like,
of the
if I saw somebody else, I would probably like look at them and be like, "Hey, like, do you know anything about this? Like, should we call somebody?" I'd probably do one of those.
Hey, there's a dude out there fighting another dude.
Like,
You better call cops right
I'm
now.
not about to get near a trunk of a car with somebody on the ground who can just leap up, chloroform me, chuck me in that car, and then I'm out. You know, I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
that was my first thing that I wrote
Him
was
moving
just like
him, too,
get
at
out of
that
the
point.
car.
Yeah.
Just
feel like it's also
what would he
like-
care?
That's why I was
Like,
like, it didn't.
calm
You never
down.
see it.
Yeah.
Well, I know he locks the door, but then he also sprays them before he moves the car, so like
Yeah.
they're knocked out. So I mean, you
Also, I
can't
mean,
go.
you could lock a door. You can still open it.
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
the
you can
inside.
still,
That's the
especially if
point
you're
of
in
that.
the
Once
passenger
yeah,
seat.
so, that's
The
why I was like
temp
so
was
many
not there.
technical. Yeah, I
Yes.
was like so many technical things wrong
Yeah,
with
as
this
soon as
like,
you went
opening.
bong, she looks back at him like, "Oh, did you hear that? No, you just fucking go.
Like, what are you doing?
Just fucking go."
Yeah, fucking jump out that bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
Like,
your
figure it
fight or
out.
flight responses would kick in.
Not just
Terrible,
Wow.
terrible fight or flight.
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like this was also a movie too, where like I'm watching it and like even if I didn't know this was an M Night movie, this is totally an M Night movie. Like any M Night movie, you could just throw that on there and I'd be like, M Night, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I agree. If they were just like we don't know who the director is, just watch this film.
Yeah,
It's
just
like,
watch this film.
that
Same thing
bad,
with like
isn't it?
Stephen King. I feel like I could always point out like a Stephen King film.
They have their tropes where you're just like,
Yeah,
This guy is stank all over.
Yeah.
him.
yeah, like not necessarily bad stank, just a stank.
No, I mean, especially with this one. This one is leaps and bounds better than
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It still
I
has its
agree.
faults.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's certain things
Like the opening.
Yeah, like the dialogue's a little bit better,
Mhm.
and they're not whispering the whole time like in Unbreakable. I felt like everybody was very
Like they're always in church and shit.
yeah. Like,
I don't know. I liked the contrast though of the whisper versus like because I feel like Elijah, who's very fragile, has that very kind of like when he gets angry, that booming voice,
you mean
which
like
is very
Samuel L.
loud.
Jackson?
Yeah, Elijah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I know that's. What
Oh,
I'm
you
saying.
mean like in
Like,
general?
talking
Oh,
like
I hear,
Samuel L.
yes.
Jackson? Like,
But then
yes, I hope they
Yeah.
die, and I hope
But-
they burn in hell.
don't kill him. But I feel like even like Bruce Willis, even in like Sixth Sense, he was very like he talked very softly, and I get that he was more like a
Yeah, like a
therapist-y kind of
therapist,
thing,
yeah.
very calming. But even like David is like he's very strong, but he has a soft voice, so it's like the contrast. I don't know. That's how I view
Oh, yeah,
it.
I gotcha.
I think the star of the show is James McAvoy.
Absolutely.
100%.
I agree.
I love his
I-
range in this film.
He's
Like,
great.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie, like whether it's good or bad, took him as an actor to the next level of like, oh shit, like he can do some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were
and I love
talking.
it.
Every time he's Patricia, we just look at each other and be like, nice.
Yeah, and I
He's
just
like-
love the like.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
The
It's got paprika in it.
dude, he's
Little girl things he would do, like,
Very Ina
Stick his
Garden.
tongue out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very Ina Garden.
oh, it's got paprika in it.
he's great.
He is.
How about that?
I put that he is my favorite part of the entire film. I think the way that he seamlessly switches between his 23 personalities and each one being different and captivating from the last kept my interest throughout the film. Other than that, it's another one of those where it's like it's a great idea, concept, and then just one of those that shits the bed eventually.
Yeah.
But he was my favorite part of the entire movie. When I rewatched it for the second time, I completely forgot Anna Taylor-Joy's in this one until I watched that. I was like, oh my god, she's in this one too. And Joe's like, yeah. And I was like, completely forgot her in this movie.
She said that.
Oh,
and
I
was
like her in
I don't
this.
even know who that is. And she goes, oh, the chick from the Menu. And I was like, oh. And then I saw her. She's like, oh, she's so young.
Yeah.
Not even from that long ago.
I don't always care for Anya Taylor-Joy in
I don't.
movies. I actually like her in this.
Yeah.
I feel like she like I think that's for me. It's just like, can I believe this actor is this person?
This is considered her breakout role.
Yeah, and I think she did phenomenal in my opinion. Like I don't think she's the best. Like I liked her in The Menu a lot too. I think she had like this very like snarky kind of way about her, but
I liked her voicing the baby in Dune 2. That was pretty good.
Is
wait,
real?
what is that
That's
a real thing?
thing.
Oh, I was like, is that a real thing?
Voicing the baby?
Oh, she's the voice of a baby.
Oh, I was like, I saw Joseph like stewing over this comment, and I was just like, what is he about to say? Is this like gonna be like a joke or something?
He got Dune look all over
Dude,
him.
I'm like, oh, I forgot.
Dune.
Dune.
Oh, I mentioned that to Ryan too. Like, I found out that like in Unbreakable, the one that the woman that plays Bruce Willis's wife is Princess Buttercup from Princess Bride. Did you see Princess Bride?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh my God.
I've seen it multiple times.
That's like one of my favorite movies of all time. So that's why I was just like, oh no, here we are.
No, I've seen it multiple times.
Yeah,
Under the
yeah.
Giant,
Princess
classic.
Buttercup is the mom.
The mom.
And I was like, oh shit. And I showed Ryan the photo, and he's like,
Yeah, I was like, I didn't even recognize her. And then she was
Robin
like, yeah,
Wright.
she was also in Blade Runner 2049. And
Oh.
I was like, oh shit, she's the chief. And then it all started coming back to me. I
Oh,
was like,
fuck,
oh
dude.
shit. We'll cross that bridge
I
when
need
we
to
get there.
watch that. Yeah,
That's a great
I'll watch
movie.
it in a minute. So James McAvoy originally wasn't gonna play.
Damn it.
Okay, take it.
No, you take it. You
Go
brought
ahead,
it
go
up.
for it.
oh, I don't
take
even, I
it.
don't
Go
know
for
any
it.
of
Go.
this.
Just
Yeah, I was
take
like,
it.
I don't know
It
any
was
of
a
this.
question that I was going to have for you, but...
Oh
I was
yeah.
excited.
So Joaquin Phoenix was casted to play this role, and then with 2 weeks before filming, he dropped out. And then they called James McAvoy and like, you want to do this? He's like, fuck yeah, I'm in. And he was like, he was second runner up. So they just said, we're gonna go with you because Joaquin was just like, Joaquin does this a lot.
I was literally like, didn't Joaquin do another M. Night film? And I was like, what was it? And I was like, Vamonos, children, Vamonos.
Well, there's that. And then wasn't he in The Village too?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the main hero. That's the boy. Well, it's like the one that
No, he's like the love interest,
Yeah, the love interest of the
the
girl.
blind chick.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
then Adrian Brody
No,
stabs him. Spoiler alert.
he just won a Golden Globe.
He did.
Good for him.
Not for that movie, but
Absolutely not for that movie.
continue with
Sorry.
Yeah. So what do you think Joaquin would have brought
Oh,
justice?
man.
I think that McAvoy did so well that I can't see Joaquin do it.
I think-
But I'm sure he could. I'm not saying he can't, but I think McAvoy just did such a great job in this movie that I'm glad that the cards played out the way they played out.
I could maybe see Joaquin in this role after seeing The Joker. But I think James McAvoy did a phenomenal job with this one. And then one of my fun facts that I found out for the movie, I'll bring it up when we talk about Glass, is he based some of the personalities on people he knows / worked with in other movies. So I think that was interesting and like a good way to kind of incorporate his own personal life into this role. Like I feel like he brought this role to life.
100%.
I don't think Joaquin Phoenix would have done that well of a job. I think he would have done an okay
Well,
job.
that's why they don't work with each other anymore, because Joaquin kind of burned them big time. Like
Joaquin
2 weeks
and M. Night?
before. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
It's just like, I'm out. But that's what Joaquin does. Well, it's not the first time Phoenix has done that. He's done that multiple times.
seems like a Phoenix thing.
Yeah.
I feel like if he was in this and in that role, it would have been more of an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Oh yeah.
The fact that it's James McAvoy makes it so that not only this movie is like can stand on its own, just being a good movie. Yeah, it would have just been like The Happening.
Yeah.
Is what I
I
kind of
feel I don't know this because I don't know enough about James McAvoy's history, training, or like if he went to like a university for acting or anything like that. But I feel like with his performance in this, I would almost argue that he was trained as an actor, like in a very like theater format, Shakespearean kind of way. Like it's like that's where I feel like he's able to get that very much like on a dime, different personality on a dime, like very much a different persona, different character. Like we'll go to the next scene and it'll be completely different, and he can have that switch. I feel like for me, Joaquin Phoenix, I almost like put him in the same boat as he just won for Penguin.
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell. I feel like they're very much the same. Where like when I first started noticing them as actors, I'm like, what's so great about them? And I feel like over time they've just aged like a fine wine. Like they're doing so great. So like, yes, I very much feel like your point of like after seeing Joker, maybe, but I don't necessarily get like, I feel like not a lot of actors can do the I have multiple personalities or I'm multiple characters and I can switch them and change them so much where like, even though you're still looking at James McAvoy doing Patricia or what is
Hedwig was my favorite.
Hedwig,
Dennis.
Dennis, yeah, like any of these, I feel like you can feel that he is that that different character without even like changing his face or even like even his clothing in certain circumstances. Like,
Yeah, because there's scenes where like they come to and they're in different clothes.
Yeah.
But you can see that they all have their own mannerisms.
yeah,
And he,
like some
go-
of them like
Dennis is always
lay. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like his brow goes
his brow goes
down,
down.
and then like
Patricia's
Patricia's
always
very like
studious.
proper. Yeah,
and then Hedwig.
he's silly.
Hedwig is Hedwig.
Hedwig's great.
I love his little dance.
Yeah, I was telling her, I was like, I don't know if it's true or not, but I feel like when he's Hedwig and he has his like catchphrase that he says, like
Etc.
it reminds me of that kid that the news email, like they interview this kid at a fair and he's like, apparently
Oh,
Apparently, kid.
apparently.
I've never
that
been on
clip.
live television before. Apparently.
His delivery.
This is what it reminds me of. Yeah.
When you said that and you were telling me
Oh,
that,
my
I just saw the Vine where he's like, it just pans over the kid and he's like, that was legitness. Like,
Yeah,
that's what I saw. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
Put that clip up.
Yeah, right there.
That was legitness. Yeah, it was.
So good. Etc.
Etc.
While we're on that topic, the dancing really made me laugh. Just the and he's like, and then like it just cuts and you just see his legs come up from the bottom of the screen. I was
my
like,
God.
I loved it.
Dying.
I watched an interview on Hedwig's dance and that M. Night gave, and it's basically supposed to tell a story of like being reborn in like being born, and then you're going through life. Hedwig got married in his little dance and then became a zombie. That's the dance story.
Well, I see at a point too, like
What
when
the what?
when
Yeah.
James McAvoy is like going back towards the table and he like slumps down on it and it goes like, bleh.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is happening, dude? But
It's
I mean,
I see the death because that was the same thing that I saw. I didn't really get the zombie. I was like,
No, I don't get
kind
that.
of just has his legs.
oh,
like,
because he comes back at her. I guess
Yeah,
maybe,
but,
but
like-
interpretive dance is not one.
well,
of
that
mine.
and I'm just like, I like,
It's a stretch.
yeah, and I like that he like has his own story because like once again, like you're creating these characters, and when you're creating these characters, you have to have like a walk, a mannerism, like you have to have a personality. Like a lot of actors give them like, oh well, I always saw this character as having like a lisp, or I saw them really liking the color purple or whatever it is, and I think that that's great. But I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with any of this? What does that have to do with any of this? Like, is this
a
part
question
of the
for M.
story? Like, is this have, because with M. Night, he's very much so like you said, like you're focusing on so many things that pertain to what he's trying to say, what he's trying to do, and like the story. Where did the zombies come from? Are there supposed to be zombies? Are those superhero beings? Are that like what is? Where did
M.
what?
Night
Why?
shooting shit just to shoot it. Like it's just him
That's
being
what I
like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't
M. Night
matter.
being
It's just
M.
a
Night.
dance that it would have been better if it was just like I just said, Hedwig dances and everything was just James McAvoy just improvising.
Yeah, like
that
I
would've been
thought
great,
that's what
yeah.
I thought it was.
That's
thought
what I
was
thought
just
it
him
was
like
too,
being
but
like,
I know
oh,
there's some, like,
something-
Him trying to
underlining-
put a story into it is
Yeah.
very M. Night though.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's
let me
this
add
and
more
it-
to
oh,
something
yeah,
I
and
didn't
it's-
need more.
and the page is flying off the typewriter again. Like, fucking stop it.
Sheets after
Yeah.
sheets.
Just let something be what it is.
Like you can't just leave the scene. He has to be like, and then
Yeah.
this, is that. It's like, bro, just leave it as is. Just
Oh
like
my
let it go.
God.
The other fun fact that I had for the film is that M. Night based James McAvoy's character on Billy Malignant, who is the only person to be charged with rape, murder, all the above, but was acquitted because he was diagnosed with having multiple personalities. So he was the only person to ever be acquitted from all of his charges because he
of
pleaded
insanity.
Yeah.
Was he officially acquitted and put in like a mental hospital, or how did that?
I
do you
didn't
know?
look
Do you
that
know?
far. I
Oh,
just
okay.
know
It's
that he was
based on
acquitted.
that's a real
It's based
case.
on a
Well, yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
asking. Like, was he put like? Because usually when you plead insanity,
They have
you,
to send you to the.
you
go to a
like
place
you
until
go
you
to a-
have to
Okay.
go. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
officially charged with 3 rapes, murders, and self-diagnosed with multiple personality disorder and used
Damn.
insanity to get away with all
Is he
this.
still alive?
No, he died
I think that
December
was like in the-
2014.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't
He was born in
He's an older
1955, died 2014.
Dr. Fletcher, the therapist. She's a dumb bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Her character, not the woman in real life. I feel like M. Night always has like one character in his movie that's very much like it's his voice. If he were the character, this is how he would be speaking. Like, once again, very pretentious, very matter of fact, very like, well, I'm gonna push the story along and make sense of this all, and like I'm really the secret hero that's gonna explain everything to you people, kind of thing. And I feel like this is her, like in his words or whatever, and I don't know, he's trying to make sense of the story through her voice. And
well, that, and they also share a scene together, and I feel that it's again very pretentious the way that she brings up the food, because you said that all the things that he's a named character, he has lines.
Jai is his name.
Yeah, Jai, whatever. Yeah,
it's Jai.
Yeah,
so
I always say like Jai Paul or whatever.
Jai Ho.
That's exactly where I was
like
going.
Jai Ho.
Jai Pehichano. She has a very douchey way of speaking about the chicken wings. Like, where did you procure these horrendous talons of chickenry or whatever she fucking says? And he's like, Hooters or whatever. It would have been. It's unnecessary if he was just there clicking buttons on the computer. Like, oh, look at this. It would have been much better. But them having that, I hate that.
Yeah, I don't need that much of M. Night in this movie. We get it, bro. Yeah. You're in all aspects. Like, even if he was just like, I almost think it would be fun to like do like once again, Hitchcock, very Where's Waldo. Like, did you guys see him? Did you see the scene he was in? No. Oh, go back and watch it, and like you'll see him like in the background, and he's
he's in the forefront. It's like, here I am, guys.
Like, this is my job.
I want it to be like when George Lucas walks behind that guy and that they're on filming on the street, and just George Lucas happens to just walk behind this guy.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's super super cool. Yeah. Like, sorry, I'm dropping.
Not like a whole fucking role.
Yeah, bro.
Dialogue.
You
don't even need two lines.
Like, his character has an arc over these movies.
Yes.
Like,
so that was my question.
Crazy.
I get that Unbreakable and Glass, it's the same character. But is he the same character?
Same character in Split.
He is that. It's the same character.
They explain it in Glass that obviously he gets his life together. He hung out with
the wrong crowd,
drug dealers or whatever from Unbreakable, and that he turned his life around to be like a custodial or something. Man. I didn't even know how to describe.
Like, he's that important of a character.
The concierge at her brother. Yeah, I know.
It's like, we're aware.
Just be the guy like clicking on buttons or something, or be the guy like, can I go now? Like, perfect.
Orderly or
that's
something.
Fine.
Some random background character.
That's what I'm saying. It's so good. Like, I'd be like, oh, look, there he is. That's so cool.
No, he has to be the guy that killed Mel Gibson's wife. He has to be the guy.
Oh, dude, that's my favorite of his like pop-ins. It's just like he rolls up in the truck and he's like, hey.
Sad, It just reminds me of a Scary Movie though.
Oh.
Which part, when the hat's getting bigger? Or
it's like,
that one's good too. Yeah, I was like, that one's good
when
too.
He like, because he's supposed to be when they show up and he's like, oh my god, your wife's hurt or whatever, and he's walking by and he sees like the M. Night character on the ground. He's like, hey man, I'm gonna need a ride.
Yeah.
Or that was a crazy night in the little Mexican hat.
Yeah,
that song starts playing.
I wrote something down that's very much for this group. This is very much like an inside, like the circle of us, and it's very much towards the end of the film where they're like oh, in order to get like Kevin out, like his actual person, like you have to say his full name, and I was just very much like say his name and he appears.
No.
And if you know, you know.
How dare you?
Shout out to Gio and Keith. Yeah. I was gonna do the bit, but then I was like, nah, I don't want to do this whole thing.
Don't do
but if you know, you know. The only other thing that I wrote down was just the quote that's in the movie where it says the broken are the more evolved, and I love this quote going into Glass. And I love this idea of like, in order to be evolved, or in order to be like, I guess, a better version or a different version of yourself, like you have to be broken, and that the broken are seen as like the pure, I guess. Because in most cases, right, if you're broken in any sense, like you're typically not pure, right? Like you're old goods or used goods of sorts. But I like this, that you're seeing a different perspective on life, and that it makes you more aware, more hyper, like, and I love that idea from like that was one of the things that I took away from the movie. It's just like, if you've gone through some stuff, like obviously it's terrible to go through certain things, like depending on what it is, like there are certain things that obviously everybody's going to go through, like death, taxes, such. Yeah, tax season, shout out.
How dare you?
But I mean, like in terms of like hopefully not all of these people have gone through things that like these characters have gone through, like abduction and, murder and, everything like that. Or like Anya Taylor-Joy's goes through, what she goes through with her uncle.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully that's not the way that it goes. But I mean, I like that it gives her character like not only a background to like help her survive, like it's almost like a reverse of like horror movie where if you have sex, you'll die. In this case, because she's gone through the things that she's gone through, it helps her get through like, this story, and it helps her, pretty much like become attached to her captor.
Yeah, like sees it in a different light. Like I understand sort of from being around him how his brain works.
Yeah, and I think that she's better able to like, get around the situation.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I feel like when I watched it, I didn't necessarily associate her with having like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
Like being attached to like her captor, but in a way I feel like yes, but she uses it to kind of like help her escape.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I wish that they went a different version, so to speak, like with like it almost sets it up because they're like her dad's like a hunter and stuff, that it gave her like not skills but like that like survival instincts kind of. Yeah, but he does it in a different way, so after like watching I was like, oh, I kind of get it where it comes from. I like how the beast talks because it's very like pastory, you know what I mean?
did anybody look up how did he do that voice, or was it CGI, or did they
I think he did that. I could see him doing that
did
voice.
like
I think he did
the
it,
deep
yeah.
voice. I can't do it, but
And you are pure whatever. Like I thought it was funny. It reminds me of-
I felt like I heard something in the back, like in the back tone of it that made it seem. So I was just
They
curious.
might have.
Like
They
a
might have
modulator
done
or
Yeah, I didn't look
yeah,
it up. I
or,
just,
yeah, or
Yeah.
like not like Skarsgård bringing his voice down an octave or whatever.
I don't know. Skarsgård does. He's a character in his own right.
Freak.
Tremendous.
Yes, that he did voice the beast in
He did it, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, like
Good
you
for
said,
him.
like you said, his character is like normally like in that aspect, it's like all sinners are going to hell or whatever. So he has that like evangelical kind of thing, but instead of it being, it's like the people that are broken, like what you were saying. And I thought that was a good little connection there.
Also wild that this abduction happened to happen in Philadelphia. So weird.
You know, the more we mention Philadelphia, the more I sang the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air song in my head.
I did in
Also in
Unbreakable.
Philadelphia.
In Unbreakable when it said West Philadelphia, and I was like,
Born and raised,
on the
yeah.
playground is where I spent most of my days. I thought that was really
God, that
funny.
might be the song for the when I post it.
Oh, this is happening. Will's just playing basketball.
Yeah.
Why is this happening?
So the ending, the big twist of this one is that the beast comes. Is that really the?
I thought the twist was that Bruce Willis was back in the fold.
Oh yeah,
That's
that
what I
too.
took it
Yeah,
as.
that
That's
too.
what I
yeah.
took it as,
That's in
but-
that world.
That's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, by the way, it's this too.
Yes.
I felt like
Like, oh, there's more of them around in Philadelphia.
I had a lot of questions of like what symbolism was happening there with the train and everything, which obviously he kind of pieces together.
Yeah, yeah.
How, hodgepodge is something at the end of the next movie.
Yep.
But like James McAvoy going to the train with the flowers, and like it takes different personalities to get him there, and then like once he's in there, and then the shirt comes off. I'm like, I don't get it though.
And then the shirt comes off.
That's what it was, yeah. Because homeboy ripped.
Good for you, James.
When he's the beast, I felt watching it. I felt like when he's the beast, he's more ripped than when he's someone else.
Yeah.
Like somehow he's skinnier.
Like he just looked like when Bane shoots himself up, like that venom just grows.
Yeah.
That's what he looked like in that film. I was
Yeah.
just like, holy shit, bro.
Or like when you're like Bruce Banner when he stops being the Hulk and he's just like, oh, I'm just a guy and my shorts don't fit. So with that being said, do we want to throw a rating on this bad boy?
No, let's roll with it.
I thought for all the M. Night Shyamalan movies that I've seen so far, this one's probably my favorite. From what I've seen.
Yeah.
Maybe, I can't even remember the one that you said that I would.
Sixth Sense.
Yeah, that one. Maybe that one would be my favorite.
That's the best one, hands down.
You're gonna love The Happening.
We own it. Could watch
We can throw it on right after
John
this.
Leguizamo's in it. Oh,
I think
it's
I've
great.
seen that
He
one.
did The Visit, right?
I've seen The Visit.
No, he did do The Visit.
Visit's
Yeah, he did
good.
The
Yeah, I was
Visit.
like,
Yeah,
I
but
feel
what
like
was with The
that's it.
Visit? He didn't actually do that one though. It was like he just produced or did.
There
like
was some.
story
I
or
don't know. I'd have to
something.
look.
It was
I'd have
like
to look
he,
at it. It
he
was
just
something.
threw his name on it or something, or someone else
see.
wrote
Put
it.
his little stank on it.
Yeah,
His little M.
That's what it needed. That's what was missing. The
I'm
key
just saying that
ingredient.
is like yeah.
It was co-produced and directed by him, but he
Wow.
didn't write it. Oh no, sorry. I'm joking. He wrote it too.
Okay, never mind then.
He did all the
I was
above.
like, we might be on to something.
Yeah,
No,
but-
nah, that's the only one.
Yeah.
It was the co-producer. He came in and said, "Nah, I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
We're gonna
I'm
do
good,
it.
yeah.
We're gonna do this."
Bye.
And he goes, "Fine. I don't want to mortgage my house again."
I think that's the one he mortgaged his house for.
Probably. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
I
want
think
to
that's
lose
what
it.
you said.
I got too
Yeah.
much
It
to
was,
lose.
it was
so-
either that or
It
The
was
Village. It was one of the two.
The
it
Visit
was
was
The
the one he
Visit.
mortgaged his house for.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So far, this one is my favorite M. Night movie that I've seen so far. I think James McAvoy was phenomenal. I firmly believe that he had 23 different personalities. I think like we mentioned it, like his mannerisms and like his wide range of emotions, like going flip-flopping between characters. I believed it. I was very engaged in the movie, just seeing him kind of like switch between his characters and his personality development throughout the movie. I think also even with like the girls that he kidnaps, I think like they kind of like learn how to like adapt to his different personalities to help them escape. I think it kind of built to like the tension and suspense of the movie with his different personalities. Overall, 3 for this one. I didn't hate it, didn't love it. It was decent, but James McAvoy pushed it to that 3.
That was a 5-star performance there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
4.5 star performance.
No, I'll give him 5. That's hard to do. It's really hard to do.
No, I was kidding.
Like, I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for him, but like, I would imagine that it would be very hard to do in the same scene to just, once again, like flip on a dime like that and just be a completely different character.
Yeah. No,
Like,
my fun
crazy.
fact was that he actually hurt himself. He broke his hand and had to keep filming.
When did he break his
He
hand?
was getting into the zone of the character,
Oh,
like
shit.
from before they started taking, and he was punching this like metal thing, I guess, and he
Raging
punched a
Bull.
part of it that was just straight metal and fractured his hand or something, and then was afraid to tell anybody
Yeah,
due to
so he went
filming.
on.
So he went out and he actually did a take that may or may not be in the movie in that character with a broken hand.
Yeah, I know with that one,
Oh, wow.
whatever other movie he was filming at the same time with Split, they had to write the broken hand thing into that movie.
Oh, that's
because
fun.
He broke his hand or whatever it
They
was.
adapted at least. That's good.
That's. I was like, that just reminded me of like Leo. And
Phenomenal. Should have won an
Django.
actor for
Yeah, it's
should
the-
have won an Oscar for that. Won't get into that right now. But
we'll have a whole nother hour-long podcast devoted to why Leo deserved an Oscar for everything but what he won an Oscar
For what he wanted for.
He
His
deserved it
Oscar.
for what's eating Gilbert Grape.
Absolutely.
His here, damn, Oscar.
Yeah. Here, now do nothing and just
Yeah.
be hurt really bad.
Yeah.
Oscar.
Oscar. They felt bad for him.
They
That
knew-
was
they knew
that was a
fucked up.
pity Oscar.
They
knew
that
they
was
fucked
like
up.
here.
Django, and then I think what was the other one that he should have won for? It was before Django. It
Pardon?
doesn't matter.
I don't know.
He's not even in these
He's
movies.
not in the movie.
We'll cross that bridge eventually.
No.
He doesn't do that, man.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh my God,
I
so
mean,
no.
he's done one sequel.
What, Man in the Iron Mask 2?
No,
Oh.
Critters 3.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get there.
Nice.
Shout out to Critters 3.
Joseph, how do we feel about this movie?
Yeah, James McAvoy, definitely the highlight of this film. I love his performance. This movie still stinks like M. Night. There's still a lot of shit in this where I'm like,
Stank.
Got that stank on.
didn't
That
need him to
Shyamalan
be-
stank.
I don't need him to be in this film at all. So like those scenes just infuriate me. But McAvoy, his performance is great. I do like this movie more than Unbreakable, so I'm at a 3.5.
Nice, solid.
Nice. You want me to go or do you want to go for
No,
this
I'll go.
one? For sure.
Yeah, James McAvoy. Even I like Anya Taylor-Joy in this too. Like I feel for her character. I want her character to get out. I feel like that's also like a different thing. Like as much as like the other girls you could do without them kind of thing. I feel like it shows like a good juxtaposition. Thank you. Of like they're considered not pure, I guess, in the B-sides or whatever, and that's the whole reason why he captured them. She was just like the bonus Jonas of the show. But it's nice to see that, like, her. Sorry, it's nice to see like her contrast versus these girls who are like have no idea of like what's real shit that's going on in the world, and then you have like Anya Taylor-Joy that's like, I've seen some shit, I've been through some shit. And I really love her scenes with McAvoy, and I want to take that. We'll take that over when we talk about Glass, but I think that them two alone carry. Like, I mean, most of it's about them, but I feel like they carry this movie the whole way, and I strongly believe that. Like, I don't know how M. Night gets these really great actors or well-known actors, but however he does, I feel like if he didn't have them, like, it would be like a Sci-Fi Channel movie. Like, it was just kind of like, we got this kind of cool premise, but like, what's going on? And like, maybe they're, you know, like C-level actors. Like, these are like great, you know, like, you know, award-winning actors, and like, you know, they're the ones carrying these movies. And I think like their work is really what's uphold, because like, obviously we've talked about it, dialogue is just like, I honestly don't even remember M. Night in this movie, to be honest, either. Like, every time you bring it up, I know. Like, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, the ending, it actually did surprise me, and I was very much like, oh cool, he's trying to like make like a, because I'm pretty sure this is his only sequel. He might have one other series, but like, I'm pretty sure this is his only series. Doesn't matter.
Yes, no, he's done series, but it doesn't count because he might have directed.
Well, like a series of films.
But I know
like,
what you're
sequel.
saying. No,
I think this is his only, like his only, like, you know, continuation of the original
I think
movie.
you are correct.
But with that said, I feel like this is definitely, I want to say, like, my second favorite M. Night movie. But once again, yeah, it's still got the stank on it. I'm going to give it, based on James McAvoy's and Anya Taylor-Joy's performances only, 3 points for them.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been. Yeah,
probably like a 1.
I'm right there with you in that thinking. Because the way that I do my ratings, it starts at a certain place and it just goes down from there.
Yeah.
Depending on what happens. So there's, you know, James McAvoy's performance in it. It's very great. I wrote something. Yes, the very ending. I feel like they held way too long on Bruce Willis when they like he sits there for a good 5 to 7 seconds of like it's him going, look,
gonna come in at the theater and be like, do you get it?
Yeah. Right,
you
like
get
he
it?
just pops on screen.
Guys,
come on, man,
guys,
look what I'm doing here.
Unbreakable.
You know,
do you remember from 16 years ago?
Years ago, yeah. So with that being said, 3.5 for me as well. He's a fucking guy.
Oh my god! I just imagined like us like in a packed theater watching it, and then just like it's quiet because we're watching like this happen, and then just like some guy in the back just being like, "You get it?"
Yeah.
Like,
there are rivals. Like, shit.
Jefferson, hi, there are rivals.
Yeah. So that's our review of Unbreakable and Split.
Oh.
So let us know in the comments what you thought about those movies. What's your favorite superhero? Let us know in the comments. If you haven't, think about subscribing.
Hit the noti bell.
Hit the noti so you know when we get our new videos out. Anything else we want to throw on? Any plugs? Any tags?
Do we have more plugs?
I'll be doing stand-up at the Ha Ha Chuckle House.
Yeah, I was like, the Ha Ha?
Yeah. So, join us next time for the next video when we talk about Glass. And we're going to finish up this whole saga.
It's M. Night Block Month.
Yeah.
Block month.
Well, not a month, but I mean.
A week.
Yeah.
We're going to finish this bad boy out. We got to do it. Especially because you haven't seen it. And I'm so excited for you to talk about the finale.
I have thoughts.
Have you
We'll
seen
get there.
Glass already? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was trying to keep the suspense, but spoiler, I've already seen it.
Oh, I feel like with all three of these movies, the whole time I'm just like watching, like at certain points I would just be like to him like what is he gonna think?
So many times where and
he just rolled his eyes. Yeah. Oh, so good. But we'll get there when we get there.
So with that being said, we'll see you on the next episode, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Until next time, the podcast, a show so sublime. Marissa, Mooney, Joseph, and Ryan signing off with glee. Join us next episode for more sequel revelry.